Guys, I just wanted to make basically a rant video or a video of me ranting. Um it's about kind of how this idea that societally has kind of widely programmed to be a true thing about how black people are just criminals. So this is what this video will be. Sorry, I said video so weird. This video will kind of be addressing, and I'm just gonna quickly read to you the comment that got me into this ranting mood about this. So of course I found the comment on YouTube as usual. So I found the comment on YouTube, and I had been watching a video, and it was like the cops had pulled a gun on a kid kids who were building a tree fort in their backyard. And it was like an 11-year-old child and his friends. They were just building a tree fort in their backyard, and the neighbor had called the cops concerned about their safety, and the cops came and had their guns drawn out towards these kids. And yes, the kids were African American. So that was a separate issue I'll be addressing in another video. But for today, I just want to address the whole notion that, blacks are criminals, or they're more likely to be criminals. I'm just going to address that. So the comment that I read under this video was, I'm just going to read it. They said, blacks have earned the right to be profiled due to habitual criminal behavior. That is why they are judged by appearance. And then he kind of said that Jesse Jackson had agreed with him, or something like that, something to that extent. So first, I guess I'll just read to you my response, how I responded to this guy when he said that. I didn't really read the rest of his comment after that because it was just so ignorant, and I didn't agree with it. So I'm just gonna read how I responded to this guy. So I said, sorry, my computer is being stupid. Okay. I said, sorry for this blank space. My computer scrolling techniques are terrible. Okay, so once again, I said, it is not okay for anyone to judge someone based on anything other than their actions. No one earns the right to be profiled. There is no justifying someone being targeted for no reason other than because they look a certain way. Black and criminal are not synonymous terms, but seem to be in this day and age. Someone being black does not make them any more or less likely to become a criminal. A criminal is a criminal regardless of race, and any race can commit a crime. I am not a criminal because I am black. So if being black doesn't make you any more likely to become a criminal, how can you rationalize targeting blacks? What you are doing is what most white people have done to blacks for centuries. We can all agree that just because one white person murders someone doesn't mean all whites are murderers, right? But for some reason, when a black person commits a crime, it somehow equates to all blacks being criminals and rationalizes targeting blacks. Very irrational thinking, if you ask me. There is a very serious problem with this way of thinking, and is probably the main reason a lot of these racial issues arise. Police are chasing a race instead of getting to the real issue. You cannot equate an individual action of crime and associate it with an entire race. Targeting black people to lower crime rates isn't going to fix the problem, because the problem isn't that they're black. If police could look beyond race, maybe they would be able to accurately depict the real issue, which I believe is poverty. Low-income cities tend to have higher crime rates and also tend to have a larger black population. So what makes more sense to you? 1. People who commit crimes commit them because they are black, or 2. People who commit crimes do so because they live in poverty and therefore have almost nothing to lose when they commit a crime. And I said, I think the second one makes a lot more sense and that people know this. And then I made a list of how irrational people think and taking a look at the facts, and so how people would come to this equation. So I said, 1, the crime isn't being committed because they are black. So if a black person commits a crime, it's not being committed because they're black. It's being committed because that person decided to commit a crime. Then I said, the fact that they are black does not make them more likely to commit a crime. So, me having darker skin is not making me more likely to commit a crime. Because I'm black, I'm not more likely to commit a crime. That has nothing to do with the fact that I'm black. Then I said, all black people are not criminals. There's no justifying. You can't say all black people aren't criminals. What's the difference between the black people committing a crime and the black people that aren't committing a crime? And so then the irrational thing that comes from these 3 facts that we all know to be true is let's target all black people for crimes. So it's kind of just how irrational a person has to think to get to this rational notion that you can target all black people for committing a crime, knowing that the crime isn't being committed because they're black. Being black doesn't make you any more likely to commit a crime, and that all blacks are not committing the crimes. But we can then target all black people for the crimes. People, this does not make any sense, and we have kind of let this just happen. Okay, so I'm going to finish reading the comment and then I'm going to re-comment. So then I said, so police are targeting a race for something that has nothing to do with race. It doesn't make sense. Also, he had posted something about correlations about how when black people come into white populations, crime rates tend to go up or something like that. And so, and also the correlation between blacks committing crimes and what made police think that it was okay for them to target blacks for all crimes, it's just completely irrational. So then I was the reason all these correlations between race and criminality come up is because we created them. These correlations also tend to be completely irrational because we know that being of a certain race has nothing to do with how likely that person is to be a criminal or any other personality trait. We then make race an issue by associating it with things that have nothing to do with it. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize my camera was not even on me this whole time. So yeah, basically, going back to the points I made, I didn't state anything that this person didn't know, and if you didn't know that, it would be, insanely stupid, but that, the fact that I am black is not making me more likely to commit a crime, the fact that I'm committing a crime has nothing whatsoever to do with my race or my appearance, that has nothing to do with whether or not a person commits a crime. So how is it then rationalized that we can target an entire race for committing a crime when we know that their race has nothing to do with whether or not a person commits a crime? It makes no sense whatsoever, and it just irritates me how we have all kind of just let this go by. We have let police have this irrational thinking about race and people, let them use it. Racial profiling in New York is terrible, and we have just allowed this to happen. We just let it go by without standing up and saying how are you able to target a race knowing that race has nothing to do with whether a person commits this crime? And people know that. We know that the fact that I have darker skin does not mean that I am going to commit a crime. So, and also the thing I said about how we make these correlations between race and criminality, and it is someone had to go looking, like you had to look at crime rates, then like, oh well, let's separate them between the races. Let's see which race is doing blah 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 blah. And this is like completely ignoring the fact that race doesn't even actually exist. Like race is a social construct. So we use a social construct, social thinkings to influence how we looked at criminals. You know, social constructs are not facts. It's like purely for like social behavior that we have invented. It's not something that is factually made, you know. There's no like fact to say that race is a thing. It is a social construct, and somehow we were able to take these social constructs of race, use them to denote an entire race as being a criminal, use them to target an entire race, and get away with it, and have it being rationalized by, you know, police enforcement all over. And that is just like plain wrong. Like, I feel like that needs to change. Like, race needs to completely be taken out of the equation when looking at a criminal, because you already know that race has nothing to do with it. Like, how are we including race into something that has nothing to do with race? And like, that to me is just like purely how racism has affected it. Like, we put race into things that have nothing to do with race, and then because of that, these racial issues arise, you know. So that was kind of just a word for thought, and, you know, I really just wanted people to see and understand how, you know, racial issues become a problem when we put race into things that have nothing to do with race. And we know, and the other sad part about it is that we know this. It's not like I didn't say anything that people didn't know. Clearly people know that, you know, all black people aren't criminals. Yet we are targeting all black people from crimes. Like, if you know that all black people aren't crimes, how is there any rational like thinking behind targeting all black people from crimes, knowing that all black people aren't criminals and aren't committing crimes? You know, it's like just craziness, and it just makes me like, oh, so angry. So I think that's it. Please, if you have any comments, questions, any other issues you want me to talk about, I'll be happy to do that. And so yeah, also sorry for like my Afrocentric hair all over the place, and if I sound like weird or sick, I don't know why. I just sound that way. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. And again, if you have any questions or comments on it, you know, give me your opinions on the issue, and if that made you like think about how like we basically have created this like racial monster in a sense. Like, we put race into things that it doesn't exist, and then it turns into a racial issue when it did not have to be like that. You know, everything going on now with, you know, Ferguson, Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, Eric, whatever his name was, sorry, the guy who was choked to death in NYC, you know, race would not have played into that if the police hadn't decided to target an entire race for crimes. So yeah, that's just like word for thought, my thoughts on the subject. So again, thanks for watching, and I will talk to y'all later, and I will continue to make videos just giving my opinion on issues, and, you know, how we tend to think about things in irrational ways that make no sense whatsoever. Okay, so bye guys.